Hello there. Welcome to Alpha Book Club. It's going to be a doozy today. Now, this is the world's best online interactive book club. You can join us from anywhere as long as you've got a computer. And if you're a skeleton, you can get frisky on my t-shirt. But you're not your living person because you haven't died yet. I'm your host, Maude Garrett. Joining me, we've got the spoopy co-host, Rachel Heine.
Yay!
Club. Boo. I know, isn't that great?
That's an amazing shirt.
So shout out to Erin for everything, but also for introducing me to this store. And I got a bunch of shirts from there, including this one, a bunch of Harry Potter ones, maybe one with McGonagall. What's it called, Erin? Thank you.
McGonagall, she gone.
But they take a long time, so order. Because they're handmade, but I love
like
this.
my label.
Boo Club.
Boo.
Where's my book? I just know all the words for Harry Potter, for Hocus Pocus. It's the book from Hocus Pocus.
Oh, right. Hey, also, Hector's out still. Hector's doing the good thing. I'm pretty sure he's in Berlin doing drunk karaoke.
That's amazing. Yeah, we were chatting with him.
From the horse's mouth. Hey, yeah, it's Amy Vorpahl standing in there. Hey,
Yay, Amy.
Hello.
Sitting in.
Yes, ich bin ein Host there. That's how.
Nice.
I'm also speaking German.
It's about Augen.
Stop
Whoa.
it. What the hell? You
You
know
speak German?
I'm just doing
Don't
Duolingo
you
for
speak
no
Japanese
reason.
too?
Hi.
What?
Yeah.
How'd you learn so many
Hi.
languages?
What did you say?
I don't know, I just retain. Weird language.
What did you
actually am
I
like
have
that
blonde
too.
hair and blue eyes.
What did you say? How did you say it? Say it
Ich
again.
habe, I have, blonde Haare, blonde hair, und blaue Augen.
Wow, your accent's
Augen.
really great too.
I know, that's really
Your accent
good.
is, I hope she's not
the
watching this, is
hell?
better
I
than my
learned
friend
that-
who lives in
I learned
Germany
that
and
19
is
years
fluent.
ago.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
God.
Yeah. Hey, anyway. Alpha Community's happening again. Hi, Alpha Community. Oh, she gone. Ravenwolf
She
gets
gone.
the in-joke. And that's
Cool.
right. I love seeing Ravenwolf's display picture because that is the character sheet picture that I use for my D&D character.
Oh my gosh.
Real quick, I want to second this from Uncle Alex 83. Round of applause for Maude host. I cannot speak.
Hosting. I did say
hosting all the
hosting.
Doctor Who stuff this weekend. Yay!
Yay!
You're on our TVs.
So cool.
So cool.
Guys, I'm terrible at taking compliments and everyone's been so lovely about it. And I've just been like, it's been a little puddle of emotions.
I love it.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
proud of
It
you.
is so
Double
cool.
whammy.
And well deserved.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was on the televisions whilst
Yeah.
also hosting the panel simultaneously.
Crazy.
You,
I was like,
you
quick
look
spread out
like
a little bit.
Those
Yeah.
I do it at the same
pictures.
time.
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to just make it last a little bit longer.
I liked the ones with you and Jodie Whittaker because she seemed down, you know?
She's the
just
best.
down.
She's so cool. Actually, I was so nervous. Like I was sitting in the green room and my shoulders were up to my ears and I was like, inside was shaking. Everything was
I
shaking.
can't even imagine that.
And so I was like, I have to eat cheese, and they have
Yeah.
cheese there, so straight to the cheese. And then I feel this grab from behind, and it's her, and she's like, oh my God, when I found out it was you, I was so excited. I'm so glad it was you. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
That's so cool.
and then everything was just like, and I was fine.
That's amazing.
Oh,
do they have the same
that
cheese
is
spread
so
that they do
sweet.
at San Diego?
No, they
It's a different one.
I don't know, but it was pretty good. There you go.
Ladies' night again.
Oh, yeah, my discussions with wine. When did I do that?
You asked her what her hobbies were, and she started listing up all the wines
Oh, Steve.
That's true.
she liked.
That's true. We talked about wine after as well.
That's
We
definitely a good
bonded
hobby to
over
have on the show.
Favorite word to say that we cannot say in this country.
Oh, the C word?
I just said it subtly, didn't I?
That's one of my favorites. I like that one.
Figured out.
Reclaim
Very
it.
sneaky way. to do that. And also, yeah, our love of wine. But anyway, it's not about me. It's about this book. Where in the second part of it, things are getting spoopy.
How you guys doing?
Drink every time I say spoopy because I don't know if I can say the word.
I have gone to sleep with the lights on the last 3 nights. And I'm
sorry.
That's
so cute.
I know, but it's that time of year, and but it is the problem with this one. There's always a problem with like whatever scares me. This one is that it is the house itself. So then you start thinking like, well, what about my apartment? My apartment could be playing tricks on me as well. Yeah, like there's got to be some correlation. And this one is, I also have a house.
I do live somewhere.
I live somewhere. So yeah.
Do you live in an old place?
I mean, no, there's not really an excuse.
You've had so many plumbing issues. Remember when you had that series?
Yeah.
Instead of like the blood coming out of the elevator, it was just the shit
just
coming out of the toilet. That is a horror nightmare.
Yeah,
that is.
It was really bad. That was when I wanted to post it on Instagram, but I was like, I can't. So I blocked out, I colored in just about all of
it was
where you
horrifying.
could just see just enough to let you know how
that's
how
gross.
shitty it was.
I used to live in previous apartments all around sort of like Hollywood-ish, but they have a lot of like 20s and 30s apartment buildings that look really cute, but don't have any don't have any plugs. There's like one plug in the room.
Right.
Like, how do I do this?
And I bet they always have the showers like at your head.
Oh, sure. I mean,
at your face.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, microphone. I just smacked my. But yeah, I just get assaulted on my clavicles every time I shower.
Yeah, but when I lived there, there were a couple of times where
wash
I'd
my
watch
hair?
a scary movie. And you do the tall dip. Yeah, we're all tall. We got it. But after I saw The Conjuring, which is that one really gets me. That one really got like haunted house or possession, ghost type stuff when it's done really well and suspenseful scares me in the movies. And when I came home from that one, I came home at midnight. I'd seen it with a group of friends and I was living alone, and I left my apartment to go to my boyfriend's at the time, who was asleep and did not come with us, and let myself into his apartment because I could not sleep alone in my apartment because it was old and I was convinced that like someone was gonna, I was just gonna, nope.
Oh my God.
Sorry, pass.
We've got a poll happening right now, projectalpha.com, on a scale of 1 to 10. How spooked are you so far? The answers are coming in. It's sitting at a 6 at the moment. I want to see if that's going to move. So I had to see The Conjuring for a junket. And it's this thing where it's like, I don't get a say. I'm like, I don't watch horror movies. They're like, well, you've got to interview James Wan and, your older sister. Yeah, Patrick Wilson, who looks like my first boyfriend. And
did your
Vera
first
Farmiga,
boyfriend
who looks
sing?
like me in 15 years.
Whoa.
So I had to watch this movie and it was awful. So I thought that if I physically turned around and put my face into the seat and put my fingers in my ears and started humming, it would be fine. Until I realized I was humming nursery rhymes and I was like, ring around the rose. And I was like, what am I doing?
You're possessed.
And then,
Oh my God.
what James Wan would do with horror is that he would make sound such a huge component, and so it would be silent for so long, and I'm like, I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. What the hell's happening? So I'd open my eyes, and then boom, the thing would go.
Right.
But there's a part in it where the clock would stop at 3:06, I believe. 3:06,
Because like 3 around that time is usually like, it's like Satan's time.
And that's what time I woke up in the middle of the night and checked my phone.
No,
And it was
fuck that.
And I'm like, and then I just stormed into the junket with James Wan. Just sat down.
How dare you, sir?
And I was just like, what are you, sadistic? And he's like, I have done my job. And
Oh my God.
Just yelled at him the whole time.
When I couldn't sleep last year, I woke up at 3 a.m. almost every night. I don't want to think about what that might mean. Now I take sleep stuff so I don't have to, but in The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which fucked me up because the way she moves her body.
That one where she goes like that? Is that okay.
There's many of those, but yeah, that one, and that's another one where Laura Linney, who's a lawyer trying to figure it out in the case, then she starts waking up at 3 a.m. and I was just like, oh God.
Oh my God.
How spooked are you guys on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm at a solid 9. I mean, I'm there. It's done its job.
I love it.
Yeah, we're there.
I love it so
I mean,
much.
I can't. It is. You know what actually gets me is his language when he starts going just crazy and it's just stream of consciousness, like words. That shit is out of control. That's like in my head.
Anxiety
so bad.
inducing too, where you're feeling what he's feeling, and it's like, no, I don't want to be in this head. It's a bad
It's a bad
mind. Yeah. What about you?
So I would feel better knowing if it was all in their heads as hallucinations or if it was really haunted. But we're flitting back and forth between two of them and nothing's solidified, and that for me has me more confused, which means I'm less scared, which I appreciate.
Ooh.
But the process of me reading this book was me reading it and then being like, nope, jumping onto audiobook, and the narrator is boring as hell. So that's helping.
Okay.
Because he'll just read, and he'll read like this, and this is how he talks when he does the book, and this is all that you get. And I was like, great, I can deal with that.
I wonder if that'll help with sort of the like, as things ramp up, because he's clearly, Jack is like losing it.
Yeah,
You know,
losing it.
that might.
So then I was like, no, I'm going to go back to the book, but I have to read it in public. And then what happens in public, and I can't read it at night. So it's like afternoon in public, and then people just want to talk about the book the whole time. And they come up to me and they're like, I just have to ask, have you seen the movie? I'm like, no.
But you're
No.
gonna.
And they're like, how's the book? I'm like,
Rachel.
sitting here reading.
She promised.
I'm in public reading the book like this.
Wait. I'm so jealous of both of you because I really like getting. That's why I like horror movies, and we've already gone into why. But it's the visual. But The Shining, I feel like it's creepy, the movie, but the book is freaking me out more just conceptually. But man, that's so fun.
Does Jack have The Shining as well?
No, blocked off, blank.
So here's my question though for you. You think that it's, because I don't feel like it's up in the air that things are happening because Danny clearly can read
And
minds.
also I get that, but then it's like.
But then you're
I think
wondering if it's
Jack's perspective, his POV with like the hedges. It did happen. I saw it, but it didn't happen. It did. It didn't. And then he's going through like that notion, and then he can smell the soap, but then nothing's there.
But he won't look. Yeah.
And I'm just like. There you go. Do you think the animal hedges are really moving, or is it just in Jack's head? This is kind of what I would love the audience to answer because. Other people are listening to the audiobook as well. Wolfchild MDB saying it's not that bad. It's not great.
But Thrash
It's not great.
Odin apparently warned you in advance.
It was very dry. And like there's not much of a difference between Jack's narration and dialogue and Wendy's dialogue.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I feel like too much would probably be off. I don't know. It's Shelley Duvall, right? Is Wendy in the movie? I think she's perfect. Well, how I read what's happening in the house with Danny and Jack so far, not related to the movie because it's not this, it's hard to explain how it's different because similar things are happening, but it's so much more internal and you get to see what's happening. Like it's more of it feels like more of a haunting. I think Danny has The Shining already. Then we're at a house that is either the first things that happened kind of made the house evil or what it is, or it's, the classic ancient burial ground. But something about the house, the land, something is wrong. And it's what makes people keep dying over and over again. And I think it feeds on that kind of negative, like even if you weren't already in a painful place, I think it would take you there. But because Jack has so many issues and so many demons and he's trying to just suppress them and they're all in there, it much like the first or the caretaker who murdered his daughters, that it's basically like, ooh, he's already primed. So it's like going for Jack because it knows it can be an instrument of what it is. So I do think that those things are happening. I do think it's playing tricks with him. There's like haunted house
Jack
versus
has The Shining.
He might,
Like,
and be
I think-
suppressing it.
Then why does
Yeah.
Danny say that he can't see it at all and that he's protected and Jack's safe because he knows that he doesn't? It's like cement.
Yeah.
Maybe he's put up
that's
that wall
years
as
of-
a
and that's,
protection
like,
from
the
his dad, and
alcoholism, like that's why he was drinking. I don't know, because Halloran said that he didn't, and everyone's saying that he didn't.
This
but
is making
I
my point
really,
in the poll.
What?
It's making my point.
Well,
Do you
it's
think
pretty
that-
split, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the animal hedges are
Ooh.
really moving, or is it just in Jack's head? 55 real, 44 imaginary.
I want to know what
56 real.
everyone else is saying. So Buck Newport says, just because it's in his head doesn't mean it isn't happening. That's fair.
What?
Uh,
Ouch.
oh yeah, I know. Kubrick is not a great person. Great director. not a great person. Not always the same thing.
The previous going-ons in the chat was how influenced Wendy is being sort of like swayed by being in the house, and I think there's a lot of conversation where it's like, yeah, she's becoming a little bit more erratic, she's becoming very paranoid. I actually think she's the most sensible one out of all of them.
She is, but I think that's because she's already an anxious person, so she's on, like when you have anxiety or like everything is a danger, you know, like anything can set you off. So I think she's the most sensible because she can tell what's going on, but I think it's also preying, like the house is making Jack worse. Yes. And playing with his mind and using all that fucked up shit with his family and the radio and all of that, and we're getting the take your medication where that's coming from that Danny's hearing is like Jack's trauma from his parents.
Yeah.
And then it's making, I was gonna say Shelley Duvall, Wendy, more afraid but kind of paralyzed. Like she knows that they should leave, but none of them do.
There was that line at the very, like when the snow fell, like it erased all of their decisions. They have no more decisions.
They were
left.
like parasites or microbes in your body. Like there was a really great line. And then Danny has Tony, whoever Tony is.
Which I had to look it up. I had to look it up.
You did?
I know what Tony is. Yeah, I Googled it because I was like, should I know?
From the book or the movie?
From the book. Oh. And because in there it says,
Amy.
I know, I'm sorry.
I need to know now. You know me. You know this
too. We can't do it.
Because he says, the doctor goes, and you know what that
I'm
means.
mad.
And Wendy goes, yes, I do know what that means. And I was like, fuck, I don't know what that means. So I like went on the internet.
Is this a bigger thing than like finding out Mrs. Coulter and Coulter, or is it another
It's
word
fun.
for
It's a fun little reveal. It's fun. I'll tell you that. That's what I'll tell you.
I'm so mad now because I really want to know, and I'm not going to do that.
I know.
Amy,
I know.
Tell me who Tony.
I
Tell me
had
Tony.
to.
Tony.
You're being Hector right now.
I just had to know.
I'm disappointed.
A part of me did it just because I was like, fuck, I think I missed that earlier. Like they must have explained what it was earlier. So I looked it up because I was like, I missed that, and they're having these secret conversations, and I feel left out. So, so I looked it up, and now I know, and I'm glad I know.
We've got another poll happening. Do you think that Jack has the shine? Yes, he's got it. No, it's something darker. Well, he might have it. No, might not have it. We're asking you. And at the moment, no, it's something darker is winning at 54%.
Oh, it's something darker. Oh shit. Well, are the people voting? Have they seen the movie?
I don't know if it's super relevant because, and I haven't seen it in a while. Yes, I know. I've been waiting to watch it with Maude.
I'm finishing the book first, but I'm finding out about Tony even earlier.
No, are you gonna go?
Yeah. No, I'm
do
gonna
you want me
ask
to tell you?
No, 100%. Yeah, I'm finding out. Are you kidding me right now? I need to be armed and with ammunition that's gonna protect me.
This is
when reading
like
this
watching the movie before reading the book. Don't you dare!
I know, but it kind of changes how you read it a little.
Don't do it, Maude.
I'm gonna find out.
Maude!
I'm Danny. You're Jack right now. You're Wendy. And I'm like,
it's Amy.
I'm gonna cry. That was amazing. You can never, ever sass Hector about watching.
I'm gonna sass Hector all the time, and he's not even here to defend himself.
I forbid it.
No. Sassy Hector is what I do.
What was that noise? We're overwhelmed, y'all. I am upset. I'm definitely upset you. I am furious that you would even consider doing that.
Of course I'm gonna find out. Why would I not?
But we're the book people.
No, I understand that, but he's going to help me.
No, it's not. It's gonna change it like watching the movie would.
But it's gonna make it a little bit better.
No.
For me. It's gonna make it easier.
I'm gonna read the end of your favorite fantasy book when we read it at the beginning and ruin it.
Okay. Ouch. Jack.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Papa, why do you scare me so? I can hear you want to do the bad thing. You're doing
the bad thing.
All right, so we've realized that Jack, does he have the shine? Maybe
sorry,
not. Does he have
headphone
addictions?
users.
Yes, he does. Does he have anger issues? Yes, he does. Does he have demons in his closet? Yes, he does.
I think
he might.
I think it might be a combo of he has the shining and it's become something darker.
It's manifested.
You know, like not to bring the first Fantastic Beasts movie too far into it because it was not great, but the Obscurial. right? Is that what it's called? Anyone? Bueller?
Oh, yes.
Of Ezra Miller's character Clarence, who is trying to suppress his magical powers because he's got a religious mom who wants to burn witches and things like that, and it becomes so intense that it turns into that smoke monster type thing. And so I feel like
that's Jack.
That Jack was probably a very sensitive kid too, but we know that he was abused as a kid. He's continuing this horrible cycle, which unfortunately happens. You can choose the other way. To quote, weirdly, Pete Davidson on SNL this weekend, because he talks about mental health. It's also Mental Health Awareness Day. Shout out. Destigmatize mental health and medication. Woo. But he went on SNL to talk about Kanye going on SNL and was basically like, hey, like, just because a lot of people have issues with mental health and addiction and all those things, but that doesn't give you the right to also be an asshole. Like, you have to figure out how to manage that and reach out for help and things like that. And it's a very complicated issue. But I feel like Jack lets himself off the hook. We talked about it last time where he's like, well, he did that to me. And it's like, no, you learn how not to be.
Right.
But it was a series of excuses. Like, how could I not be like this? It's so obvious why I am like this because of all the things that have happened. So I can't control it. I can't even help it.
Yeah.
You just have to accept it. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Well, and he's not even drinking now. And Wendy is like, it's as bad as it was when he was drinking without the drink, which is like,
yeah.
No,
So
and the way
they're not. It's they're not. It's such a hard thing because sometimes they're connected, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you drink to, suppress something. Sometimes that's a symptom. It's all very different. But for him, I feel like because of everything he went through as a child, he put up a wall, both in terms of his life and the way that he interacts with people and the drinking, but also maybe if he had that sensitivity, maybe not as strongly as Danny, but if he had that, and that's his coping mechanism, is like, no, I don't let anything in, I don't let anything out.
But the other thing that is subconscious that people do is like, they put themselves in situations that make them repeat what happened in their childhood. So like he's getting beaten on and being told no, and the dad's getting him in trouble for not really anything. And so Jack is putting himself...
I don't know, throwing a rock at a car is pretty bad.
Right, yes. But
and
Jack
doing that as a child is like...
Well,
I don't know.
I know, but the way
Not
the
that he
doctor explains like how kids just soak up emotions, it continues into adulthood when adults are like also just putting themselves in situations that make them, like Jack, get more in trouble, get told no more. Well,
you're repeating patterns that are familiar to you, even if they're bad.
Stay in the comfort zone of I'm a bad boy.
Yeah, well, it's what we were talking about last week of that, like, even in the early years of your life when you aren't even really processing anything, when you're mirroring and you're exposed to that stuff, you end up repeating that as an adult and you don't understand why until you're like, oh, because my dad did this or whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
I had a weird realization that I actually don't mind sharing if you want to listen. But,
yes.
So I'm a twin. And when we were born, Jenny had serious heart issues and had to be in NICU, which is like prenatal ICU, for 3 weeks. And I went home and she stayed there. And I never put the two and two together until like this week, which is a little late. But throughout our lives, she would always leave the dinner table at nothing and go, I don't even belong in this family.
Oh.
And we'd be like, what? Where did this come from? Why are you doing like what? You're talking. What? We're all like, what happened? And I mean, I guess that's more of a her thing, but it also has affected me in kind of a similar way, where I've always felt like people are waiting for me to be, or waiting on someone else, basically. Like I'm good for now, but we're waiting on the other shoe to drop, or the next person, which is Jenny. So we're all waiting on Jenny to come home. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
It's just this weird thing that like I never even thought of. Because why would you go back to the first 3 weeks of your life?
Yeah. Exactly.
Isn't
Well,
that
that's
crazy?
the thing. Yeah, because, and it's not late for you to realize that, because people go through their whole lives never thinking about anything outside, but that is fascinating because it's this small, it feels like an insignificant thing that a child would not pick up on.
Right.
But they soak things up. And if they have sensitivity, metaphor, shining, like there's we've talked about we're all Pisces. I'm pretty sure we're all
having a bad day. I'm
empath
having a bad
people
day.
where it's like, yeah, if work, like if I come to work and people are in a bad mood, it doesn't matter how I felt in that morning. It's like, oh, well, I'm sad now. Like, you know,
yeah.
and so, not that happens a lot, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, or friends and things. And I do feel like Jack probably had elements of that. Wendy definitely does. She's very sensitive. And they created this like ultra sensitive boy who's Tony, who we don't know what it is.
One of us does.
I really want to look it up. I'm going to have to finish the book is what's going to happen. I'm going to read the whole book this week so I can know, but also not do that.
I know.
So a big thing that happens in this section of the book is Jack finding the scrapbook, the one thing that he was not supposed to open and not look at because this was going to spiral and this was going to be the catalyst that draws him to a bad place. But he looks into the history of the hotel and basically he wants to use the information that he's discovering about the hotel and write a sordid history of the Overlook. But it's interesting how he handles this information because when he did his, and it's the most amazing way to start the book, which is the conversation between Ullman and Jack, and he just didn't like being inferior to Ullman. did
Yeah,
he?
that's how
He
the
felt
book
like he was
starts.
Shamed, and
He
felt like-
what's the first line? He immediately
Oh yeah,
hates him,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Cheap
that's how
trick.
we get into the book.
Oh, what is it again?
I think it describes his walk.
A vicious little prick.
That's the first line. I mean,
little
he hates this dude.
Yeah, and he finally just has this information where he's like, whoa, you're just as bad, if not worse, and I'm going to completely air out your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
You know, and he has this thing where he needs to feel superior. And so, yeah, he calls him and just lays into him. And yeah, you can just, in my inner monologue, reading or listening to this part was just like, stop.
Yeah.
It's that cringe. It's like watching Michael Scott on The Office. You're like, no, what are you doing? Stop it! Drives me insane. But it's also, to your point, he's self-sabotaging.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I certainly have met people who self-sabotage to such a degree that you're like, what are you, why?
Yeah, you just
why
wanna
are you
watch
doing,
the
and you
world
can't,
burn
you
because that's
can't
your-
help,
that's all you feel like
you
you
can't help
deserving of.
someone who does that. They have to do it. And it's just, it's, why did you do that? But it's also, he thinks to himself like, well, maybe I'm trying to get my family out of here.
Protect them and stop
Some
this
part
before
of
it-
him.
I love the whole, because it took a long time for his inner monologue to get to why he did it. He kept on asking like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why did I do this? And he never really learns, but he feels happy with it, I guess, or like he definitely
he felt
justifies
shame,
it.
I think initially. He's like, what the
Yeah.
hell was that?
What am I doing?
Why
Yeah.
did this burn? And he's like, well, yeah,
He-
thinking into this.
But
But then he was also really disappointed that Al, his buddy, didn't have his back, and like he kind of lost that support as well, and he was kind of like shocked and stung
Well,
by that reaction.
they were each other's drinking buddies who, you know, had a few secrets between them, and now it's sort of like they don't have that in common anymore. Al was sort of, it felt like a favor because of everything that had happened, and now they're diametrically opposed because he's like, well, you're gonna, that's
You're
my,
gonna shame me.
you're
yeah.
gonna do that. And Java Book Geek Girl, wonderful Maude that we love. Maude. The sad thing is Jack's idea for a
that
book.
got me. I was like,
yeah,
what?
I know. For a book on what happened at the hotel since it was made did sound like a really fascinating book. 100%. I would totally read that book, but he's losing it. And
he's
he's
fixating
getting
again.
sucked into it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, you haven't seen the movie, but you know like the classic line besides Here's
No
Johnny.
TV and no beer makes Homer something.
Exactly.
something.
Yes. That one. Yeah.
Has Stephen King ever spoken out about the Simpsons episode?
Hasn't he done a
Surely.
voice on The Simpsons? I feel like they've brought him on, so maybe, I don't know. I bet he likes it. I can't believe how much still that I like this so much more than The Dark Tower.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yin and
know if
yang.
the
He
later
tried
books
to-
have a different style of prose because the first one is like Western, very stark, but I love Stream of Consciousness. That like all I don't think it would be fun to read
I
them
didn't
on
like
here,
Stream
but
of
the
Consciousness of the last book that we did though, which was Carrie Fisher's book. That's
Oh
one
yeah,
I really did not like that.
yeah, that was. I feel like that was a different style, but some of the what am I thinking of? Anna Karenina has a few like that, and then the Sound
Anna
in the
Karenina?
yeah.
What is that? That's not a word.
Karenina? I don't know, I'm not Russian.
Anakarina.
It's spelled Karenina.
Anakarina is like what happens when I try to freestyle rap and I like ran out of words. So I'm like,
does anyone know
Russian,
have a good Russian accent? Karenina.
I think that's Anna Karenina. That's how I always said it.
Also,
give me a fat beat and I'll make Anna Karenina. What? What?
What are we going to get out of this episode, I wonder? And The Sound and the Fury. Have you guys read that?
No,
Thank
I haven't read
you, Faulkner. So Faulkner, he's like a modernist sort of, and it's kind of very stark, but he wrote The Sound and the Fury about siblings and does different sections from their point of view, and the stream of consciousness is different with each one. And he wanted to publish it in different color ink for the different perspectives, but he couldn't afford it, so he didn't. So when you read it, one character is mentally challenged and jumps through time, like memory and time, so you don't know what's happening, and that's what it starts with. So you're like, what? The fuck is going on? But it's really great if you read it. But I love stream of consciousness, and I love the language as someone who struggles visualizing things. This is the kind of where it's not too much like.
So you can't picture the old woman in the tub?
I mean, I remember what the woman in the movie looks like, but no, I don't picture it, but I feel it.
Can you though picture when he doesn't see the actual woman, he sees like the blob?
I think about an idea of a tub. Yeah, I don't. It's not an image. It's like we could go.
Yeah,
But when there is enough language to like you feel it versus seeing it, versus when it's like, and here's a mountain and all of the things in the mountain. I don't know. It's probably from Fellowship of the Ring.
Meanwhile, I've got like I can tell you the shade of pink that the tub is.
I'm so jealous.
And I know that the book had actually said that it was a tub on claws.
I don't think you're broken, Rachel.
I am though. I can't.
Green tiles all up the walls on every side.
You can see it?
Yeah, like this.
Can you see it?
I can see it, not in that much detail, but a little dreamy, like where if I thought about it, I could decorate it myself. But I see more like a dream where it's like a camera is focusing here and then unfocusing and then focusing here.
Interesting. So that's shapes. You seen shapes?
I see the tub, but I don't see the tiles. You know, like when they're describing the woman, I definitely see the woman, but I don't see. So
the green is not even a block color green. It's like green around more the outside of the tile, and it fades in a little bit. That's what happens. That's why I can't watch horror. That's why I can't read horror. That's why.
I think that's why I consume horror and thrillers, and it's like dismemberment, and I don't really think about it. But then I see a horror movie. But then Hector, who's sadly not here, and he said he missed us, which was nice. I remember when we talked about this the first time, he said that he sees things like a director, like he's filming a movie almost. And I know Kyle Hill, I've spoken about this with extensively because it's a weird brain thing. And you know, I think he said it was like a video game, like he was in it.
I have dreams like that all the time.
Oh, really?
Yep, and I die and I respawn and I go through the same thing again like it's a level, and I learn from the mistake that killed me last time.
When I meditate, which I don't, it's more like a video game. So it's a very active meditation, like I'm running around and shit.
I can't
meditate. But in reading, it's more just
perfect
like
candidate. Picture nothing. You're like done.
Yeah, but I think I can't not think about
that's
something.
That's the thing. Guided meditation is what
I've tried apps. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is called aphantasia. Dr. Shire, you're right. Look it up. If you, like me, thought it was normal that when people say just count sheep when you're going to bed, and you're like, what do you mean? Do people actually see sheep? And then you read an article and find out that you can't visualize anything, then you might have aphantasia.
Fascinating.
The way my mom goes to sleep is she says she imagines a little guy with a paint bucket, and there's a space where everything is, and the little guy with the paint bucket and a ladder is painting black over everything, and he just wipes everything out with his little paintbrush.
It's a yellow ladder.
She has aphantasia?
The little guy is balding.
No, she just pictures that.
That's her
when she's meditating
instead of sleep.
Oh,
or
that's
sheep
so
instead
cute.
of sheep. I know, it's cute.
Now I'm jealous of your mom more than anyone else, because that's a really cute way to go to sleep. I just take sleeping pills.
I will say I do want to talk about little Danny and the lady with the choke marks.
Yes.
There's a real condition where you basically you imagine it so hard that you make it physical and real on your body, including diseases. You can give yourself stuff. You like actually can.
Yeah, I mean,
psychosomatic.
Yes.
It's like the opposite of a placebo, basically.
yeah,
Right,
women who want a baby so bad, their body swells as if they are carrying a
Yes,
child.
yes, exactly. So that, I mean, if you want to be a doubter on if Danny actually got choked, he could have scared himself into getting choke marks.
So this is this thing where it's like, well, are we explaining reason and logic behind it, or is shit happening?
That's just what's going on in my brain, and I like not
because
knowing.
it's not. No,
Well, Jack is also
I'm like, am I supposed to be scared?
fair.
Is it supposed to be haunting, or is
Yeah.
it psychological? Which one am I supposed to be scared of?
And can it be both? To the
If you don't
chat's
tell me how to be scared, I'm not going to be scared.
But I will challenge that when we watch the movie. But
The not knowing actually does scare me.
the not knowing freaks me out more. But I have read it as it's happening. Certain things you don't know. But I will say that because Jack is basically sleepwalking, and Danny is so sensitive, and if you read it from a purely like logical, cynical, ghosts are not real perspective, then you could say, okay, he's really sensitive and intuitive. That's definitely possible. Even if they feel like they've never talked about divorce, you can tell, or you remember
He's
things.
5 though. He doesn't understand the notion. The fact that he's
I don't know, he might be
visualizing,
very
he sees it in words.
Some kids are very smart and very sensitive. I think that it's a haunting, but if you're looking at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, he's coping with all of these things because the family is dysfunctional, and kids do a lot of things to deal with that
functional family.
I mean, sure, they're more so than some.
Yeah.
But if you look at it that way and you read that he's growing up with a kind of neurotic, anxious, not hysterical, but in the actual terminology of hysterical and not just like women are hysterical, and an abusive.
Sucks that you have to say that.
Well, yes, I know. Don't even get, I can't.
Okay.
The rage, flames on the side of my face. And then you have an abusive alcoholic father. And
Narcissistic. I'm throwing that into the ring.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of people say in the comments that he just never once admits fault.
And he doesn't consider, the only reason that Danny even comes up to him is in Jack's own memories of pain. He can't think about it really. He can't process what he's done to him. He broke his son's arm. That is not a small thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, I know it's wrong, but
He was in my shit. It's like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were reading it that way, it's like, okay, then they're all going stir crazy. They're locked alone. They already have many issues to work through, and maybe Danny is imagining the house and these things as ghosts because he's afraid of his dad but doesn't want to be afraid of his dad, so he's making it into something else. I can see that reading
Could
of
Danny
it.
also be planting that kind of stuff in Jack's head? Could he have so much of it?
If he had The Shining.
Yeah, so much of The
he
Shining.
can project because we've seen that
Yeah,
happen
he can
already
project
where he
that
screams
kind of
the
stuff
name.
into his own dad's head.
His dad is, his dad, Jack is in his brain that he's kind of trying to close off.
Yeah.
His traumas, his memories that he just puts in a box and doesn't think about, which many people do.
Sure.
It's a strong coping mechanism for trauma.
do
You were talking about that.
Yes.
It's an actual thing that happens. But Danny is so strong that he's picking up on it, even if Jack isn't, and replaying it for him. And he's kind of like
because
a brewing storm in the house.
Jack saw the lady, Jack saw the hedges. It could have, either Jack, I think, has the shine, or Danny is doesn't really know how to control it. His first practice was with Halloran. Other than that, it's been just what he's been served. So he sends something forth into Jack's mind, which is primed for some fucked up shit.
But how does, because I love that there's so many different interpretations for this. This is
Yes, I'm asking the question. I don't know.
Psychological interpretation. But because so many people have died in the hotel, that's.
This
this is new and I got excited.
Oh.
There it is. Yeah.
Ooh,
Little
spooky.
pop-ups.
A boo club. But it's the hotel that really does it for me. You know, like multiple people have died there.
Yeah.
The cook who left was like, shit is dark here.
Yeah.
So when I read it as the house is so haunted that it is showing up for people who maybe don't have the shine. And maybe Wendy will start to see it too.
Yeah.
The worse it gets. Because poltergeists and ghosts, you know, in classic horror stuff, they thrive on pain and chaos and all that stuff. So it could be something like that.
Dodo Kiwi saying, I like how King shows us Jack's interior thoughts but never makes him seem likable or we believe his perspective. Completely agree, and it's very interesting knowing that Jack has this moment looking back at his scripts and plays saying, I love how I understand and like all of my characters, and you understand their decision making, and even if they're really bad, you know, there's enough sort of there that you get in their motives. But it's very funny. It's kind of like Jack having that perspective, but then us hearing him, we're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like you.
No, you
I've
suck.
never liked you. Everything about you is awful. So it's like,
But that
it's
is a
multi-layered.
narcissist trait of being horrible and thinking you're the victim or you're the hero of your own story, and everyone else is like, no, you straight up suck. Like, you know?
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool, Aaron and folks? If we had like someone with a psychology degree or
mama.
something. Yeah.
Ooh.
And like diagnosing characters. Sorry, that would be really
That
cool.
would be awesome.
Because he could be
diagnoses
narcissist
the people in
borderline.
my life, and I'm like, that person has that, you think? Oh my. Cute.
I
That would be so
I know.
cool.
I feel so bad because I do want Wendy to have already left him.
Yeah,
left Jack.
And she
was, this is the thing, this is like, don't mean to make it political, but it's like there's so many times when it's been too much and over the top and that should have stopped, you know, that she should have
Yes.
left. And it's like, well, if that won't make you leave, what will?
Yeah,
Right.
but it's like it's the same part of the cycle, and we know from earlier in the book that her mom was really shut off, and there's some weird
Yeah.
stuff in her family,
What
and
is that
she's
about?
repeating her own pattern.
Can we
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
that for a
where-
second? Because Wendy and Danny actually talk in the car about whether they should leave for winter or stay with Jack. And there's this thing where she's like, nope, I can save my son and I can take him and we can remove ourselves from it. And then Danny, who's obviously been in Wendy's mind and knows the relationship or, you know, knows the trauma that Wendy has had with her mother, said, nope, that's actually worse. It's like, oh God. Because
Well, there's no, I mean, there isn't a, I mean, staying is clearly a bad call at this point, and we know that The Shining is a horror story, so it's not good. But yeah, it's the same thing of like, if that's all you ever know is being wrong and trying to fix people, then of course you're going to, not of course, but a lot of people continue that pattern and marry someone similar to what they grew up
I hated reading
with.
the line of like, he said I love you, and those were hard
he
words
barely
to get.
said it. Oh.
Hard words to get out of Jack Torrance. I love you, and she's like, yay!
Yeah,
You're like, bitch, that asshole should be saying that to you every
chalked up to
goddamn
win.
day.
And what about the fact that
Hell yeah, Amy. Hell yeah. Well, it's like I've been, I don't know if everyone else has seen A Star is Born. But
Yes.
thank you, it's so good. But I've been reading really interesting takes, including one by a writer who also writes for us about, without spoiling anything, also it follows the trajectory of the original films if you've seen those, but it's a complicated relationship, and some people were viewing it as a romance, some people are viewing it as a horror story.
Oh.
It can be both.
it's like Harley and
It can be
A Star is Born?
Yeah.
It's not a horror story.
I
No,
mean,
I
it
did
cou-
see it.
yeah,
but
it
it's
c-
not.
I mean,
it's
we'll talk about it after.
Very sad. Okay.
It's very sad. I don't want to spoil it because it
Okay.
just came out, but it's one of those things where if you have seen other people or experienced that kind of cycle where it's like shit, like immediate red flags. You're like, anyone would not go for that. It's like, no, that's not. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Right.
And so for her, it's like she has a kid, she has a family, she's been in this forever.
Yeah.
It seems very scary to leave that. If you do leave it, it's great. But it's
But
very
also,
hard to do that.
when you're in an abusive relationship like that, they kind of take away all your other
Yeah, they
support
gaslight. They
systems.
completely gaslight you
Yeah.
until you think that it's, and so she's trying to fix things and she's worried and she's scared and she's checking for alcohol.
Yeah.
But she's not leaving because she she doesn't, I don't know, it just feels, it's not expressly said, but I do feel like it's that pattern that she's repeating,
There's
which
this
is
other
so
thing
sad.
as well where, you know, Jack is yelling at her going, you think I'm guilty even though I'm not even drinking. You just assume the worst in me.
Because
always."
he's a monster.
And she's like,
even
I
if
do
he's not
assume
drinking.
the worst. And it's like, but you're never going to forgive him. You're never going to move on from
Yeah,
this.
he just keeps
This is
resenting
something that
it.
is going to constantly resurge in your relationship all the time.
There was one guy I dated. I think I might have even told you guys. He was in Narcotics Anonymous, which is fine, great. But the deal breaker for me was when he goes, "I'm in Narcotics Anonymous, Amy. Do you know what that means?" And I was like, "That you're like taking steps to better your life, and you know you're doing good things for you." And he goes,
love you.
"It means that I could relapse at any time." And I went, "Oh."
He's self-sabotaging.
Yeah, it was so fucking weird. But yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Well, and Steven saying in the chat, it's easy for us to say they would leave from our position, but I feel like if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have left. I have, you know, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I have definitely been in a situation where as soon as I got out of it, I realized so many things. But when you're in it and it's your life and it, you know, you never understand a relationship of any kind unless you're in it. You don't see it. And so when you're in it, it's very easy to fool yourself or fall into whatever patterns you have from your whole life. And that's the known fear. That's the known thing. Yes, it will come up all the time. And eventually you either hit a breaking point or they do, which is the most tragic story for it. But it's also, if you hit that breaking point, then you learn that, okay, you can get past it. But getting to that point is so hard.
There's also, I mean, I can't imagine what it was like in the 70s, but even today there's like relationships that are just put on this pedestal and you know.
It's bullshit.
And so in marriage too, marriage is like the ultimate there. Now it's, even though, you know, 50% of them fail or end in divorce, it's still
I think
on
it's
this,
more now. I feel like it was
Yeah.
50% when we were kids. I feel
Right.
like it's probably more
But
now.
it is on this pedestal of like, yes, you like within a day of being married to this person, great, you have all the rights that you want. This is the best thing in the world. Like it's just on this pedestal of
you
marriage.
figured it out now.
Yeah, when in reality it's like I mean, there are stories of how it doesn't work out. That we're told over and over that it's not this like heaven on earth thing. And yet it's just perceived that way. So yeah, Wendy
And there's a
leaving
child
her
involved.
husband would be difficult.
I'm
yes.
so good at walking away. I do it all the time. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm out.
That's
And
amazing.
I'm working on
And
it.
someone even said to me, they're like, this is when I was 17, super impressionable, and it was a drama class, and it was in my school holidays, and it was 2 weeks, and I got tonsillitis, and it was awful, and I wanted to do interpreting scripts, but not enough people signed up for that, and not enough people signed up for Shakespeare, so it was interpreting Shakespeare, and it was just like high school, and I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. And so I was still there dragging my feet, and after a whole week of spending 8 hours a day with this group of people and the teacher says to me, she's like, Phoebe, did you want to stand up and read that passage? And I went, Phoebe? Phoebe? That's not my name. That's not been my name all week. I know the name of every single person here, and the fact that you can't get that after the entire week is shit. I don't want to be here. And I left. And my friend ran after me and she goes, if you quit this, you'll quit anything. You'll quit everything in your life.
Whoa.
And I was like,
was she 17 too? Mm-hmm. Wow, wise friend.
And I was like,
I don't think that that's necessarily true, but it's a thoughtful thing.
and I left, and I was just like, I ain't never got time for that. It's like, if I don't want to do this and my core is screaming, nah. And I was just like, you know, and I kind of, her and I, she lives 5 minutes up the road from me now, and we're like best friends.
nice.
And we brought up that moment, and I said, you were just angry that I was quitting your dream, but it was never mine.
I do think
Sure.
that can apply to people who maybe don't have as strong of a sense of self like you do, which I very much admire.
Yes.
I definitely, this is a tangent, but here we are. I had to take this this, you know, it's like a work Myers-Briggs. It's called a DISC assessment. Yeah. And it's dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness. So it's like being very assertive, convincing people or getting along with people really well, being calm, and being like a rule follower, basically how they're interpreted. And I have been working all year on being like standing up for myself more at work and in life and all those things. Like it's something that's hard for me because I always want to be like, oh, let's make people feel better. And when I took it, I had low D, which has been a joke going around the office, which I don't like.
Sorry.
High influence and steadiness,
Yeah.
and like medium conscientiousness, because I like to try new things. But my normal versus my adapted, which is me at work, dominance was like normal is low, adapted was medium, because it's like you have to
great.
turn those things. But it's for you, it's like, oh yeah, I could leave that, and that's awesome, and you're a strong and amazing person.
Not the one shit.
Yeah, and that's how everyone should strive to be, I think. But Wendy has not had any of those tools. She doesn't know how to do that, and especially she's isolated. It's a lot easier to remove yourself if you have a support system or something to do, but it's the 70s. There's none of that. And they're literally isolated, and he's broken the radio, and the only way out is through a snowmobile.
But also, like,
what a
you know,
nightmare.
her family's not an option because her family's
Yes,
abusive.
there's nowhere for
And a
her
lot
to
of
go.
People are saying that, you know, history repeats itself and cycles do form, and I think that a lot of the time when that's all you know and it's all you think you deserve,
just repeat it, yeah.
And it's like it's almost like an attraction thing. So a lot of the time, abusers will attract victims.
Yep.
Because it's
Right.
like there's an allowance thing happening. Like an abuser will be like, "Oh my God, I can control you. That's
Oh, what
easy."
an
And
easy, you're an easy mark.
that's it. And a victim will
Totally.
be like, "Oh my gosh, I need to be told what to do, and this is great." And so like, that kind of cycle. So even if it's like, "Well, I've left this person because they're awful," then you go, "Oh, you're great. This feels familiar. This feels safe."
I feel attacked right now.
Sorry.
I watched The Star Is Born and I was like, oh, he's so bad. Oh, I love him. Like, bad. Knew it as it was
I would have
happening.
thrown my shoe at his face.
Oh no, I was like, oh, but he thinks she's beautiful. It's bad. Working on it.
Hey, anyway, so then Jack goes back to room 217. Let's talk about 217 because that was awful. That's when I was
that was
making
the big
faces at my
thing.
book and I was not.
What, an old decomposing naked ghost lady?
Yeah. And her
Soggy.
belly was everything. All the
Swollen.
soft bits were swollen.
So I can not
I'm
only
mad
see the
about
crinkled,
that being-
really pruny skin, but I can see the veins that are like under her skin
Yeah.
as well. Yeah,
Oh,
she's a lot
good.
of blue lips.
It makes me mad though that like the main visual scary thing is like an older one. I mean, I get it. She's a ghost. She's dead. That's scary. But like, even when we hear her backstory, it's like, this like older woman having a younger man. It's like, get it, girl.
Relatable. Yeah.
yeah.
Rude.
Nice.
I don't know.
Have your happy hour every day. It's called a happy hour.
I loved
It's
it.
there for a reason.
The way he describes
Life is short.
that
Go to happy hour.
when he describes that like he heard the sounds and all this stuff of someone getting out of the tub who didn't want her guest to leave before having greeted him, and like all of this weird shit of like etiquette at this time of horror is like totally just a big window into what he's feeling, and like you're like, no, she's coming to kill you, man. Like, she's not there to like offer you a glass of water.
Well, but it's interesting because a lot of readings on how hauntings work is that they're the people reliving, what they were doing. So it's possible that her ghost is doing that and also evil.
Right,
and like
right.
as a ghost, she's coming to kill him, but her thoughts are probably like, "Oh, my gentleman caller."
Someone in
But
the
it's a
chat
small child.
was saying that maybe Danny, and my interpretation is Danny is attacked because he is so gifted and he's super powerful, and so the hotel sees Danny as a threat because he does have this shining, and so they're trying to.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
he can maybe save them. Ooh, I
Did
love
we
that.
see Tony in this part? We haven't. He hasn't
He's
shown
been
up.
quiet.
He
been
talked to him, but
quiet.
he was like kind of far away. Here's a question: what is making Danny keep going back? Why is he going back to the room and he can't really understand why? Is it the hotel
Oh
or
my
is
God,
it
the
Tony?
passkey was in his pocket because of course it was.
Yeah, but is
Because
it Tony?
Of course it was.
Is it
That got
Tony?
me as
Yeah.
well.
Is it Tony or is it the hotel?
Oh,
Who?
gosh.
What's
That's
making
the
him
hotel.
go?
I thought Tony was trying to protect him, so
I-
you don't go there.
I think so too, but Tony's also scary. I don't trust him. Don't tell me. Don't even.
I know.
I can't even look at you
know,
right
I
now.
know. To
can't.
be perfectly honest, I don't know, but I would love to weigh in.
No. What was the thing when you finished?
Oh yeah, I know the last line of Dark
No,
Tower.
no.
Oh.
murder.
Yeah, of the Orient Express. I couldn't not know. So
And we were doing the murder board, and she'd finished it. And
I was like, ha, I know. And I
And
did
I
it.
had read it, and I kind of forgot.
I was like, I just don't like being left in the dark because the dark is a scary place to be.
I guess there's history
And
here of
Tony-
you making the wrong call and
No,
finishing the
it's finding
reading
the
and finding
light
out.
in the darkness.
No,
Like if some,
This is not Harry Potter.
it kind of is.
It will be.
Well, it's not.
It's not right now.
Let me have this.
Finding out did not ruin the book for me, and it might have scared me even more.
Oh,
God, that makes me.
what's happening?
I'm gonna have to. I give up. I'm gonna look it up. I give up. That just sold me.
Here's your
you're still
disappointment
on-
back.
No,
Here is your
no.
yeah.
Nope.
Amy Torrance.
You know I love you.
So we didn't actually spend too much time talking about 217. Apparently Kubrick was made to change it to 237 because they still wanted to rent out the room 217. So they had to switch that up.
Capitalism.
But I really quickly, I know we've got like 3 minutes, but I do think it's important to talk about why Jack felt the need to protect his family by saying nothing happened at all instead of validating his son.
right.
I don't see it as him protecting them. I think I see it as him keeping them there.
What? No.
Oh my God.
No, for sure no.
Oh no, it's totally fine.
He was saying-
why would you be scared of the hotel?
Because he's dismissing the problem.
I know
He's in denial.
I think
that's
that
not a
he has
stupid
been
fact.
infiltrated by the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, I don't think he's aware of it, but I think he's like, oh, don't worry.
He was surprised
I'm the
at
grown
how
up.
confident.
Because
his
it's not
voice
like he
sounded.
didn't smell the soap. Like, you know.
This is the thing though, it's like, but when you protect a child, from nightmares, it's like, oh, it's just made up, it's not real. We dismiss these things for children to protect them.
Yeah, but he did sense something, and he's
But then you
sensing
notice how
things.
relaxed everyone kind of got. They were like relieved.
Yeah, because he wants them to stay.
You've seen the movie and I haven't.
No, it's not about the movie, 100%. This is not I don't remember the movie that well to be able to make that.
Well,
I know
I
the
mean, I just-
general.
Wow.
If I was checking in on something and I noticed that it was a little bit off, I would probably want to dismiss it too.
There's that, but
healthy
he's
denial in
also
these.
already, he's the one who smashed the radio because the voices of his dead parents were telling him to murder his family.
I don't think that he was willingly
Right.
ending communication. I thought that was an anger, and then when he
Yeah.
realized that, he was like, damn
But
it.
it's getting in under his, it feels to me
Got
like it's
it.
getting under his skin, and it's
Okay.
saying like, oh no, keep them here, it's totally fine.
So does then Jack have his own Tony? What have I done? Oh God! Hey, let's wrap things up.
Jack isn't
We're going to read
here,
until
Mrs.
chapter 40.
Florence.
Didn't we read until 32 just then? So you're only reading 8.
Chapters are long though.
Oh, they are
Oh,
great.
long
Cool.
chapters.
Homework.
Oh,
Read
no.
until chapter 40. So the basement is where we'll be
Ugh.
stopping.
Jesus.
The page
That's
is
never good.
483. So stop at the start of chapter 40. The basement.
no.
Don't forget, we're also on Goodreads. Just search Alpha Book Club. Come discuss books. We always need new books to read. I love talking books. It's the thing that makes me happy at the moment. Because nothing else does when I'm reading The Shining. Hey, by the way, we'll be back. Thank you so much for joining us. Chapter 40. Let's do this. See you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.